Well, hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Brett Reinford from Central Pennsylvania, and I really wish I could have been there. I had my plane ticket purchased. We're just dealing with some things on the farm that I feel like I need to be around for, and so I apologize for not being there. I love attending meetings like this, and I always learn so much. But yeah, I just want to just talk for 15, 20 minutes, and you feel free to interrupt me and ask questions, or if you can't hear me, or if I'm mumbling, let me know and I will try to speak more clearly. I just want to give a little overview of our farm, and what we've been up to here as in regards to anaerobic digestion. We are a dairy farm of about 700 cows. We farm about 1,400 acres. Today is our first day of corn solids chopping. And so we have a crew that's busy in the field, but I'm glad to be in the office talking about this. I'm a partnership between my two brothers and I. My mom and dad sold us the farm about 3 years ago. And so we've been running a partnership here. Um, Getting to digesters. I left the farm in 2009 to go to college with the intent of never coming back to the farm. Got a job in Minneapolis, Minnesota, working for a software company, and stayed there for about 3 years until my dad jokingly offered me an office job to come back to the farm. And I took him up on it. And so I moved my family back here where we've been for the last 12 years. In that time frame, my dad was struggling with some odor complaints from the neighbors. And when I was in college, I was doing research on alternative energy, wind and solar, and I came across digesters as well that could be used on a farm. And I had mentioned to my dad that a digester could help solve his odor problem with his neighbor. And my dad, being a pretty progressive farmer, liked the idea, flew all over the country looking at digesters, particularly up in the Northwest and in Washington back in 2006, and decided that a digester was right for us, and so or right for the farm at the time. And so 2008, we finally got the digester that's on the bottom of the screen, bottom left of the screen, um, installed, and that's a 500,000 gallon digester, and it had 140 kW motor attached to it to produce electricity. Um, I came back to the farm with the intent of helping on the dairy, but was very, very interested in renewable energy as well as food waste. So about 3 months after we installed our first digester, we got a call from one of Walmart's food waste brokers asking if we could take food waste. And my dad, being curious fella, decided that yeah, we could. And so he built a grinder to chop all the pumpkins and watermelons out of an old pool type chopper, and put a hopper on it and ran pumpkins and apples and bananas through that for 9 years. And we took about 40 tons of food waste a day. And in the picture on the bottom left there is how we used to receive the food waste. Um, I came back to the farm and thought there was an opportunity to expand that business, and I'll get into that a little bit more. Um, so our digesters are fed dairy manure and food waste, and so the bottom right of the picture, that the slide that you're looking at, is the slurry that now gets put into our digester, and I'll show how we get to that point. In 2019, we built our second digester, which is the one on the right side of the screen. It doesn't look big, but it's a 1.5 million gallon digester. And it has a 499 kW motor attached to it. We're running two digesters simultaneously, as well as two different motors. Um, so we Yeah, I didn't know how much detail you want me to get into this, but we're producing electricity for about 500 homes right now. We also use the manure solids as bedding that come out of our digester, and we use a lot of the waste heat that we can. So this is kind of how we pipe the hot water all over our farm from our digester, including taking the hot air off of the motor and blowing it into our grain bins on the left side of the screen to dry our corn. So for a while there, we were not using any fossil fuels for heating on our farm. Everything was heated with our one digester motor, and we have since added some backup heating elements because the motor that we're currently running that provides all of our hot water is about 15 years old and is becoming less reliable. But we do heat our house, our farmhouse anyway, our shop, all the milk water, all the milk washing water, the cleaner milking parlor is heated with the digester water. Um, we so my focus on the farm, I guess I should back up. My role on the farm is I'm supposed to be in the office, and I take care of a lot of that with a wonderful team here, and then food waste is kind of where I spend a lot of my time as well. And so it's something that I'm passionate about and I enjoy doing. So as you know, I don't need to go through this entire slide, but there is a lot of food waste out there, at least here in the Northeast. We're 3 hours from New York City, 3 hours from Philly, 3 hours from Pittsburgh, 2 hours from Baltimore, and 2.5 hours from Washington, D.C. Yet we're still in a pretty rural spot here in Pennsylvania, which is we've been able to use to our advantage as far as procuring some food waste. Um, yeah, this is how the food waste used to look when we were getting it. It was nice and clean like that with no trash in it, and that's how Walmart sent it to us. But we were running into issues with you can't see in that pile, but inside that pile would be bread bags, plastic bread bags. There would be all kinds of contaminants just hidden underneath there, and we didn't have a way of separating that out. And what we found on the top of our manure pit over the course of taking this for a couple of years was a nice layer of plastic floating across the top. And so we thought we need to do something a little bit different to clean that up. DEP asked us to clean it up. We knew it was a problem. We wanted to clean it up. So we looked at some options on how to clean up that plastic mess, if you will. And so we decided to purchase a depackager. And the building that you see on our there in that picture is our food waste depackaging facility. So prior to having that facility, we just did everything outside and on a little concrete pad. But we wanted to clean it up a little bit and invest it in a building and put this machine inside of it. So this is the inside of that building. It's called a Scott T42 turbo depackager. And how that works is we take packaged food waste. So you see all the boxes there, and you see inside the tip floor, there's looks like there's lettuce at that time with plastic bags around it. And so we scoop all that up with a skid loader, put it in that hopper there that you see on the screen, and it runs it through that cylinder-like machine called a depackager, which separates the trash from the organic material through just that typical that depackager is more like a hammer mill, so it just uses a lot of force to hit the bags and packaging, which liquefies what it can, and that drops through screens that are underneath the depackager, and the trash then continues through and it ends up in that white trailer there that we take to landfill. So we've been doing that for since 2017. I'm not sure if yeah. So this is some of the material that we take. We get material from Pennsylvania. Probably 80% of it comes from Pennsylvania. Then New York, New Jersey. We're getting stuff out of Maryland now. Farthest load we've ever received waste from is Miami, Florida, which is about 1,500 miles from us. So food waste occasionally does travel for whatever reason. But yeah, most of the clients that we work with are distribution centers or food processors like ConAgra, which is what you see in those cans. That's the Chef Boyardee product that they sell. this slide isn't quite up to date. It says we take 110 tons of food waste per day, of packaged food waste a day. We're probably closer to 150 tons a day now. This year we should surpass about 60,000 tons of packaged food waste going through our depack machine as well as through our digesters. We Yeah, so we work almost 24/7 in the DPAC site. So we do run this machine day and night. We're off Sunday night and Saturday night. But we don't typically have a down time anymore based on the volume waste that we consistently get. It takes about 7 employees to run our food waste recycling business. We have about 30 employees on the farm. Some of those are truck drivers that help pick up the food waste. So we do have a trucking company tied into our food waste business. And of course, then we have the dairy as well. Yeah, so we have about 30 employees total with 7 of them in the food waste recycling part of things. We recycle everything that we can. So in this picture here, you see a bunch of tin cans. So we do recycle that. We recycle aluminum. We get a lot of cat food cans that have aluminum. We get beer and soda. Recycle all that we can, and cardboard. If you get on our website, it's not on here. I don't know if I have it on the slide, but it's reinfordfarms.com. We have this little infographic, which kind of just explains the whole process, and people find it interesting, and it's just how it works on our farm. And yeah, um, yeah. So I think that's about it. I mean, this slide, sorry, is a little bit outdated, and I should have read it a little bit more. But a couple things that we're trying to do on our farm yet is um, we are we are flaring about 1 megawatt worth of gas. So we are running close to 600 kW with the 2 motors combined, but we're flaring another megawatt worth of electricity just because the food waste has about 3 times more gas than than our manure. And so we're looking at upgrading or putting in a bigger motor, as well as exploring putting in another digester as well. In Pennsylvania, we get paid fairly well. It's a good system in place for getting paid for electricity. I know a lot of farms are switching to RNG, or compressed natural gas. And where we're at in Pennsylvania, it doesn't make sense for us to go that route yet. But yeah, so and then we're also interested. One of the negatives, the big negatives of having a depack machine and taking food waste is the microplastics. And we don't have that layer of plastic on our manure pit anymore. But now we have a bunch of little pieces that are intermixed with our manure solids that we're not entirely sure how to get out. And so we're looking at maybe biochar in the future, and looking at that as a possibility to solve potential that issue. But other than that, if anyone has questions, I would be happy to take them, or yeah, I can keep talking about food waste too. uh,
Thank you so much, for accommodating us. I know I was telling you guys to hold your questions, but in case of Brett, since he's not here, if anyone would like to ask questions, I think this will be the moment. He might not be able to hear you, so either I can repeat your question, or if you guys want to come here and speak in the microphone, that also works.
Hi, Brett. Alejandro from Spain here. So you build the biodigester because you have, among other problems, but the neighbors were complaining, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
So has that improved or now bringing more waste? Has
Yeah.
getting worse?
Good question. The digester definitely has reduced the odor, and I can honestly say we haven't received an odor complaint in probably over 10 years. The issue now with bringing in food waste, is we're in a rural part of Pennsylvania, and before we get to our farm, there's a little neighborhood with a back road that you have to get to. Now we're bringing through, 20 trucks a day of food waste through that little neighborhood. So truck traffic has increased, so it's created another problem. um, we're not entirely sure how to solve that yet, but yeah, so as far as neighbor relations and the odor, that has significantly been reduced. And now we deal with the other issue of increased truck traffic through our neighborhoods.
Right. And other question, I have several, but other all this. So you are saying that you are using the dehydrated, digested, the solid phase as cow bedding, right?
Correct. Yep.
So when used to be manure, I mean, I don't know which kind of sterilization or pasteurization process do you have, but when it used to be manure, is done a lot. And depending on the weather, I mean, I suppose that Pennsylvania is, there are a lot of moisture, right? And you might
Yeah.
have problems of mastitis. Have you heard about that?
Yeah. Good question. Very good question.
I know because I'm in touch with all the farmers in Spain.
Okay, no, that's a good question. So, full disclosure on how our farm is doing with mastitis and somatic cell. We when we originally put our diet, so we've always used since 2008, we've always used manure solids as our bedding. And historically for 12 years, we've averaged about 120,000 somatic cell, which is very good. We've always had mastitis. I would say treating, less than 1% of our herd. Here in the last year and a half, our somatic cell has increased to about 250,000, which is something that we're not particularly pleased with, but we're not sure what's causing the increase. And our mastitis has gone up as well. So yes, we are dealing with that issue. We are mixing solids with our manure. We are our process for so obviously the manure solids come out of the digester that it kills the pathogens, or it's supposed to, but on top of that we also get the bedding to a 12 pH by adding hydrated lime. But if our mastitis is coming from our manure solids, we're not sure how to control it yet, but it is definitely an issue that we're experiencing here lately.
Sure. Well, in the cases that I think I saw in Spain, I am from the Northwest, and when we have a lot of moisture, they have to quit that system. This is
Oh,
what I think. They need
okay.
to quit that system. The only way of reducing the cells of the, in the milk of the cows
Yep.
is removing that system. Just the last question, I promise. So, have you tried any other type of fermentation of your manure?
Have we tried any type of fermentation of the bedding or of the
No,
digest?
of your manure. When your neighbors were complaining,
Yes.
there are kind of other additives that you can add to manure to promote the fermentation, all right? The
Yeah.
heterolactic fermentation, like
Y-
in silage.
Yeah. Yes. So no, we did not try anything. Yeah, we did not. We didn't at the time. We didn't. That would be new for us. Like I'm not even familiar with how you would do that. So yeah, our solution with a digester, but
All right. You know the brand Altech. Altech.
oh
It
yes, yeah, yep, I heard of them. Yep.
Altech commercialize this kind of products as well. There are
Okay.
plenty of them. So you can add to the manure and you can start the fermentation. And there are a lot of claims. Depending on the farmers, you talk to them and they
In
tell you a lot of claims. They
in
say it reduces smell, increase crop growth, whatever. It keeps the slurry more liquid. It's said to be pumped, like,
okay. So
right.
it's
Thank you, Brett.
yep, no problem. Thank you.
Hi, Brett. Trevor from Arizona State University.
Hey, Trevor.
So, with your food waste, those original photos showed, pumpkins and just kind of produce on a pad. And then you
Yep.
said there was, kind of packaging hidden in there.
Yep.
But then, your later photos are clearly just a bunch of packaged food.
Yep.
So, is that a like a shift for you in like your business model? Did you see that as an opportunity, or was it just you were dealing with the hidden packaging, so you went all in
Yeah.
on the packaging?
So good observation. So actually, truthfully, this is what happened. So we were getting this stuff here
Mhm.
in the screen, and we were getting that for about 9 years from Walmart, and it was great. And it kind of worked out at the same time. So we built the depackager building, and basically the same month that we went operational, they quit bringing us that product because they started sending that material to animal feed. And so we lost basically all of our food waste material that we were expecting to continue to get. And so we had this very expensive building with a very expensive machine sitting in it and no food waste. And so we we started reaching out to some clients and some retailers that we thought would want to work with us. And by luck, I suppose, my first email that I ever sent was to a company called Wegmans, which is a grocery store in the East Coast here, and they had agreed very quickly to send us stuff. And that was the only time that it ever worked out that I reached out to a retailer and they even responded back to me. And so we worked with them for, we were still working with them, a great client. But they started sending us more and more material. And at the time we were excited to do, 1 or 2 loads a week. Now we're doing, 15 loads a day, not just from them. We work with about 50 different clients. We don't have very many direct relationships with any of our clients. Most of it's through broker relationships, including Walmart's. But yeah, so we did not intend, we didn't have a dock on this building that when we built it. So this picture that shows the truck back to the building, that dock wasn't even there. We
Mhm.
we were expecting to take the material that we've always been getting and they dump it inside the building. And so we had to quickly punch a hole in the side of this building and put a dock there. And that's kind of how we've operated. So we don't get, well, we are getting this material again back. So it's come back to us in the last year. But now it's coming with all the packaging. So Walmart does not want to separate that at their store level anymore. They'd rather pay us to separate it with our machine. And it works fine for us. But good question.
Yeah, thanks. That's interesting. So so you say you deal with a lot of brokers. Do you
Yeah.
see any, I don't know, trends? I mean, are you just kind of at the mercy of what is, kind of brokered to you, or do you see any kind of longer trends happening in
Yeah.
food waste?
Yeah, we are at the mercy of brokers, so we don't have any contracts with anyone either. So it's kind of, so we might get it one day and it's gone the next. We've been very fortunate to have a good business model that has continued to grow year after year. Um, the brokers, our price point on tipping fees is now cheaper than a landfill, since landfill prices have gone up considerably. So to haul it here is still pretty expensive. But where we get a lot of our waste out of Eastern PA, New Jersey, New York, where they're at $100 a ton and we're half of that, it still pays
Mhm.
for them to haul it to us and it's a savings to the client. So, yeah, so trends, um, we're seeing a lot more of these depackager sites get put up. A lot of venture capitalists are investing in these type of facilities, so we expect more competition in the years to come. But food waste, I used to worry about if we were going to get enough food waste this week or whatever to justify running our machine. And for the last 4 years, I've been turning down quite a bit, and it's been very busy for us.
Okay, that's great. It's really interesting. Thanks a lot.
Yep. So it does come down to relationships for us with our brokers specifically. I mean, we've learned how we've picked up a lot of businesses because of unreliability of the depackagers up in New York and New Jersey. And so yeah, we've got a great relationship and we try to be reliable to our clients because food waste doesn't stop. So we can't say, oh, we don't want it this week, we'll take it next week. It doesn't work like that. You have to take it.
Great, thank you, Brad.
Yep.
Brett, we're going to have a quick break and
Okay.
then we're going to have a breakout section. I don't know your schedule, like if you're able to stay connected, if
Mhm.
people have more questions. In case you cannot, could we maybe email you about any further questions that people might have?
Absolutely, and I'd be happy to. I'll stay on. I guess you're on break now. I'll stay on for maybe 5, 10 minutes here, and then yeah, email, or you can feel free to pass out my phone number as well. Happy to chat food waste or dairy with whoever.
Perfect. So whoever wants to take a break now, guys, and then the breakout section, we're going to start at 11:10. And whoever wants to take this time to talk to Brett, please go for it.
Let's thank Brett for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have a break. I still want to, Brett, this is Jonas, so I was your original contact. And,
Okay.
I want to say you are my hero, right?
Oh.
And how you combine sort of science, engineering, and just shrewd entrepreneurship. It's unprecedented.
Thank you.
And, so when you are done, if you are ever done with the peak of this stuff, I want to come out, we talked about it. I want
Sure.
to come out and sort of annoy you a little bit. Mass balance wise, Brad, what is it? So you are flaring something, you can buy a turbine, right? So you can,
Yep.
whenever you flare, you can buy as you say, an engine or a motor, right?
Yeah.
Mass balance wise, where do you have problems? So nutrients, that's an opportunity. But what's again, mass balance wise, what's something, accumulating that you still can solve in this?
So, yeah. So, I mean, right now the microplastics is the biggest issue for us, and I'm not sure how you solve that issue yet. We run a very small screen on our depackager to prevent probably the smallest in the industry, just because we don't want the microplastics, but they still get through.
Yeah,
So
there's
that
no screen too small for microplastics.
exactly, and so we're not sure how to deal with that and long-term effects of that. What are they? Is PFAS a concern? Should we be concerned? So yeah, so that's one of the issues, and I wish I was at the conference because I'm sure I'm missing a lot, but I land availability. So we land apply the food waste with the manure. So in this picture here is our manure pit, just the top right of it. We land apply all the food waste and manure, and land is not as available anymore, and so just being able to maybe reduce or separate the nutrients out of our manure product in a feasible way, to at least allow us to market that, to sell it, or to ship it farther away where there's more land at an economic cost. So that's the two biggest issues that I think that we're facing at the moment.
I'll come in and talk about nutrients with you. I mean, you should
Sure.
see, people just soaking in all this information. We have another question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, Brett. This is Ilpo from Finland. Hello.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I have one question. Do you have gate payment for the cucumbers? And that's crucial for the business, I know.
Yeah, so I can give you how we make our money. So we do get a tip fee. Minimum tip fee is $55 a ton. So that's what we charge to take the food waste product that we're getting. We also sell the electricity that we produce. We sell the recyclables that we collect, and we sell the renewable energy credits that we create as well. So there's four-way profit. Oh, and we also we don't buy any commercial fertilizer anymore because our nutrients in our manure is considerably higher than average manure based on the food waste that we're getting. Some of the meat product, I guess, turns into nitrogen is what I'm understanding. And so yeah, so we do definitely charge a tip fee.
Okay, thanks. Yep.
Hi, Brett. This is Jimena. I work in London, and I have two questions. One,
Sure.
A clarification. Do you separate the different feedstock for your ADs? So you have one for manure and one for food waste, or you mix them?
Good question. No, well, the manure goes before it goes into the digester, the manure goes into its own tank, and before the food waste goes into the digesters, they go into its own tank as well. They get mixed when they're pumped into the digester. So we do keep the food waste in a separate tank because it helps us to we get random things every day, so it helps us to kind of balance out the highs and lows of the energy value of the food waste, if you will. So yeah, good question.
Thank you. And my last question maybe is like thinking in the future. In the UK, at least, there is a very big growth on food for human redistribution. So a lot of the best before dates and all those different dates that used to be has been removed. And I'm wondering if that is something that is like seeing all those packaged food. I'm wondering if there is something like that in the US.
So, yeah, very good question. So, I get this question quite a bit, and it's hard to answer. So the clients that we work with would prefer to donate the food. I do know that it's expensive for them to bring it to us. It would be much cheaper for them to donate it. The produce product that we get, so for whatever reason, and I've thought about this a long time in the United States here, our retailers can't get rid of or give away their food that they're wasting quick enough. And I don't know if it's just a planning thing on their part or what. And so when we get the produce, it is typically outdated or it's starting to mold. But we do get a lot of product that the expiration, we're doing popcorn right now. Probably 90 loads of popcorn, and there's no nutritional value to it, but you know, some of the stuff is not going to be outdated for another 6 months, but they just have too much, and instead of donating, they just want it destroyed. And that's just kind of the mentality, unfortunately, of some of the folks that we work with. But there is not, I've always dreamed, you know, if we could somehow get to a point where we're able to certify the building that we're at, that we can sort stuff here that is still edible and send it to a place that needs it. But the sheer volume of what we bring in, any food bank would be soon overwhelmed, even with a couple pallets. And so, yeah, it's a hard problem to figure out how to fix. But I know there's technology here in the United States that's being worked on to hopefully fix some of it. But yeah, there's a long way to go, we believe.
Thank you so much.
Yep, good question.
Hey, Brad, it's Carson Bone. I work for Bioenergy DevCo. We actually build anaerobic digestion facilities.
Yeah,
we're kind of neighbors, right?
We are neighbors.
Yeah. Question I had relative to the digestate management, because that's what I do for our company.
Yep.
Are y'all scaling operations? I mean, are you internalizing all that material on farm? And do you ever see a point in time where you're going to have to externalize to try to get rid of it?
So a good question, Carson. So I know your system's a little bit different, and I wish I was there. Otherwise, I'd talk to you how you did your. It would be a long conversation, I'm sure. But so what we're doing, so our advantage is, it's considered a manure once it goes through our digester, and so we are able to land apply it within the bounds of our nutrient management plan.
Is that year round?
So we're not allowed to spread between December 15th and February 28th. And so we're not spreading year round, and we only spread 3 times a year, is the goal. So when our crops need it. We ran into issues this year and the year before, is that we had too much food waste, too much manure, and we were not able to store it so we didn't have big enough tanks to store it, and we weren't able to, spread it on the fields that need it. So we were giving it away to local farmers to store in their pits, and then they can use it as a fertilizer for their crops. So that relationship is being developed with other farms within our community. Should we have too much, the goal would be to give it to them, or ultimately, hopefully, sell it to them. There is value in the nutrients, but we're not that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where we are. We're kind of at the threshold of, when I got there, we were paying to get rid of it, and we're kind of at that break-even point. But
yeah,
we definitely see a pathway to make some money off of this as well.
There's value in it for sure, and we just we didn't have enough storage, so we had to get rid of it, so I couldn't negotiate.
Absolutely. Now, when you were talking about the microplastics, I mean, I'm assuming you're seeing it all the way through into the digestate of the manure products. To what level is it? Just, I mean, because we measure that too. because we started out very similar to you. I mean, where we're just taking in predominantly food waste. And we slowly moved to building out a depackaging system on the front end of our Maryland facility. So obviously it all rolls downhill, and I'm sitting there at the very end catching all this material trying to sell it. Obviously in the soil and fertilizer space, the last thing you want is plastic. So
can't have it.
Can you speak to kind of, have you quantified just to the level of how much is it?
So
fractions of a percent?
Yeah, so I've toured your facility. It's impressive from an engineering standpoint. We run a 3/8 inch screen. I'm not sure what size you're running in your. You have a 2D pack.
Same.
Okay.
Same. We've got a 3/8 inch rotary drum screen, and then we run it through a centrifuge for dewatering.
Okay, so you're doing a second step there. So yeah, we so we're able to capture most of it. So our manure solids, so after it comes out of the digester, we run it through a press. So we separate the solids out, so we use it for bedding, and the liquids go into the manure tank for land application. Our manure solid separator runs a 1 millimeter screen, and so we're able to pull most of the plastic into our manure solids. So we're at least able to contain it there. I could just landfill it, I suppose, or we have a biochar facility that's starting up nearby, and so we might send it to them. Yeah, I don't have a way of getting out of it. I know if you're familiar with Scott depackaging. Carson, they have a system that is very impressive on the back end, a secondary screen that we are actively looking at purchasing. So, which would help on a lot of material. So, yeah, there's technology being developed around that, but you have a secondary, your dewaterer thing that I think I saw, and that should capture most of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing somewhere about 0.1% on a mass basis. So I would say,
I would say that's ours as well. Our permit says that we can't have any, yet composter in our town can have 2%. So we are at a point of disagreement with the EPA on that, but we are actively trying to make it less. But it definitely is an issue.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I'll reach out. We've got a lot to talk shop on.
Sure. What do you guys do with your solids? And you can't sell it for fertilizer, can you? Or do you have people that will take
our solids? We're set up as a soil conditioner in Maryland and in Delaware. So we are, in fact, selling it.
Oh, you are? Okay. So
but as I mentioned, really, we're paying for transportation. So at this point, it's pretty much a break even. But I mean, it's there needs to be several different processes in step to really imbue some value into it. So, and we have no, as you saw in that facility, we have no land available to do anything else with it. So we have to externalize that. Of course, we had that composting facility down in Delaware. I don't know if you got to tour that.
I did not.
So we've been doing a lot of experimentation down there as well.
Cool.
Awesome. I'll reach out. I appreciate it.
Please do. I'd love to chat.